What are your 3 words? Tell me again. I love them.
Yeah, my 3 words. So this is I got to give credit to Colin Henderson. He asked me what was my life philosophy, and he goes, I want you to describe it in 3 words. And so I said, curiosity, humility, and vulnerability.
I love that.
You
Could you
know,
imagine what the world would look like if we all got up with that commitment on a daily basis?
yeah, HR might have a problem if there's too many people like me out there. I got wacky. Most of us quarterbacks we got to screw loose, but we like to have fun and be positive. So
I love that.
That's so Casey, here's what I heard. Three main points from what you just shared is I see a through line of empathy, like real true empathy, which relates to the golden rule, which relates to also putting ego aside. You know, if you really are trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes, you have to kind of have a self-awareness, right, and separate yourself. The other thing I heard is the real value of reflection, both in documenting, like you said, and also the story about watching game tapes of how real improvement comes from reflection.
yeah,
And the third one is, I think, a really important message right now is that this is a season, and we can just right now say, I'm going to take the L, and we'll see what's going to happen, you know, when things get better, or we can use this period to reflect, to renew our relationships, to redefine what a relationship with another human being is right now, that is not text-based, but actual, real empathy-based conversation and pouring into other people. And that's awesome. So thank you so much.
yeah. Well, one thing I just thought of that you made me think of, Josh, is just for perspective for people at home listening to this, to be like, oh, it must be, I mean, it's maybe, you know, people see success at the end of it, of a chapter of whatever it may be. And success is different. People view success different ways. But the things I'm passionate in talking about were 20 years of a business career of a lot of failure, tons of failure, which I document in the book. I talk about challenging relationship with my father, who we battled dementia, and I still challenge, you know, it's you know, a lot of open, like, I mean, being a part of some of the biggest deals in my company history to being some of the worst deals. I talk about that. Like, I air out everything. And so why it's so important, what we're talking about right now is I went through the .com boom back in, you know, early 2000s. And I went through financial crisis in 2008, where, you know, I used to joke, until the governor or mayor or president of the United States says every company stop, like for you guys, I've yet to hear someone in the state of Washington say, if you have a house listing for sale, shut it down. If anybody looking for a house, shut it down. Like, there's still opportunity, right? And there's always going to be someone doing something that we can do to help them. It doesn't have to be a transaction, right? And so I think as I look back on my journey during my business and professional life, I always focused on the empathy of people and got to know them personally. When I would document those things, I asked questions about what they told me, not versus what I wanted to sell them. Because if I tried to sell them something, it was going to be a lose-lose.
Right.
And I would rather lose from a customer, lose a deal, and win a person, because in the end, they're going to come back to me anyways.
Yeah.
And so that's really the mindset. So I think as we, as a human race right now, and a community and culture, just focus on that, right? Business will come back. If you believe in capitalism, it will come back. And I think what we can focus on right now is now's the time to build as many relationships as you can, because once things improve, who do you think they're going to remember? Right? They're going to remember the people that were there for me, that called 5 people a day, which isn't that, I mean, even if you call the 5 same people, who cares? Just call people, and don't sit in your bed and your couch and get on Facebook and Twitter and all the negativity and watch CNN and ABC, all these. I mean, I love the media, but I think we got to, like, give yourself a 15-minute window in the morning, at night, and then give yourself 8 hours of nothing, of just focusing on things you can control. Because right now, if you're sticking to watching the news, can be negative and depressing and bring you down. And there's only so many articles you can read on COVID. I'm not saying don't be educated, but there's a lot of things that right now that aren't going to help the things I'm trying to teach people about mindset. So,
So, okay, we're, oh, sorry.
Okay. If people want to stay connected or want to learn a little bit more about your podcast, tell us how we find you and how often you're currently broadcasting.
Yep. So I am in any main platform. So iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn. I think iHeartRadio. There's you can go to CaseyJacox.com. So CaseyJacox.com. And I have a podcast link. It brings you all the current episodes to date are there. I release every Thursday morning at 5 a.m. Pacific. And one of the things I will, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to do starting next week. I actually have two guests, a guy named Colin Henderson, who I mentioned earlier, then another guy named Mike Robbins. And Mike Robbins is also a speaker. His world's changing, but he has a book he wrote that's coming out in May called We're All in This Together, which I think the timing of that could not be better. So like from a pivoting perspective, like Josh, we talked about too, I want to make sure that I'm connecting with people, because I have this journey of this podcast where every Thursday for 52 weeks this year, that was my goal. And I wanted to find a couple sponsors to help, just kind of help me break even. Well, that's going to be tough to do, but I'm still going to keep moving forward. And my goal is now to help interview people. Maybe I'll do 2 per week, where people can hear about how dads out there are embracing and trying to be the leader of their household, dealing with this crisis that we're going through. But for the most part, there, just CaseyJacox.com. Like I mentioned, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. CaseyJacox9 is my Instagram. I also have the QB Dadcast is on Instagram too. So,
which is really amazing podcast, the couple that I've listened to. And what I would say about that, even for an old lady and her old man, it's very intergenerational. Your frank conversation about your relationship with your dad really blessed my husband and a journey that he's walking through. I think when we get to the core of our vulnerability and who we are as humans, whether you are 10 or 30 or 50 or 70 or 90, it's relevant. We're humans. And connecting in that way can be really powerful. I know when I asked you to do this, that this is not about selling your book, and you don't want to talk a whole lot about that. And so what I will say to those listening, if you want to get your hands on it, Josh and I will be talking about it in a way that you can get connected to either get it digitally or a hard copy. But I just really appreciate you, Casey. You have just blessed us and so many other people by taking the time to chat with us this morning.
No, it means a lot. It really does. And just stay positive, everybody. The people in my life, it's simple takeaways: curiosity, philosophy, curiosity, humility, and vulnerability. Focus on those 3 words. Call 5 people from here on out. And then when you wake up, get a journal and write 3 things you're grateful for.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. Seriously. Yeah. I know we went a little over, but there's a ton of good stuff in here.